Good morning. The question has been asked, do Jews proselytize? And the answer is a resounding yes. Although not in the classical sense, we're not looking to have people of no faith or of other faiths convert to the Jewish faith, but we have a message. We certainly have a message, and a powerful one, and that is the idea of that there's a God. There's one God who is very much involved in the world, and this is reflected in the high holiday prayers. Very much so on Rosh Hashanah, as mentioned yesterday, that as opposed to the other holidays, which are a uniquely Jewish experience, you have Pesach, which is a Jewish story. Sukkot is a Jewish story. Rosh Hashanah, in addition to it being a uniquely Jewish story, it is also a universal story because it celebrates and commemorates the creation of the entire universe. And this is reflected in a prayer which is in the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah. Interesting little historical factoid is that the prayer of Elenu that we recite 3 times a day at the conclusion of the prayers actually started off only in the Rosh Hashanah prayers. But then what happened is that, as we all know, very often people at the end of the prayers, they're running to the door, they have their coat on, waiting for that last prayer, and they fly out the door. So what the rabbis did is they instituted this very important prayer, Rosh Hashanah prayer, at the end of the 3 services, so people should take every single line seriously. And when you sort of insert such a powerful prayer at the end of the prayer, people will stay until the very end. So this is the prayer of Elenu was actually composed by Joshua, who the student of Moses, of Moshe, who led the Jewish people into the land of Israel, and it's about God's sovereignty over all of existence. And it says there that L'sakin Olam, that is our mandate to fix the entire world, the entire universe, and to create an awareness of Ein Oid, which means there's nothing but God. And it's interesting that the Rebbe, in more recent times, encouraged us that not necessarily to proselytize, to go around and talk to non-Jewish people, teaching about the oneness of God, but invariably when we're on an airplane or in other situations, and the conversation evolves and the subject of God comes up, it's very important for us to communicate our opinion and on the subject, and to also to communicate the fact that there are 7 laws that all nations of the world have, known as the 7 Noahide laws, about believing in God, morality, respecting other people's body and property, and also respect and also not being cruel to animals. So this is highly important. It doesn't come naturally to a Jewish person. We like to mind our own business, but it's and this is also reflected in the story that we read about in the Haftorah of Yom Kippur. There's a fellow by the name of Jonah, and God tells him that he should go and communicate to a non-Jewish king and a non-Jewish nation that they need to up their game. They need to be more God-fearing. He's very uncomfortable with this mission for multiple reasons, but primarily because it's one of these situations where you can't win. It's a situation where the Jewish people weren't that great at that time. So if these people listen to Jonah, then it makes the Jewish people look bad. If they don't listen to him, then it's a failure. He tries to run away, and he's cast into the sea, and he's swallowed up by this very large sea creature, and he's deposited, and he prays, and then he's deposited at this place, and he goes to the king, and he communicates that they have to do tshuva, and everyone does tshuva. And it's interesting because Yom Kippur, Mincha, this is like, there's a progression in Yom Kippur. We start calling Nidre, and as the day goes on, and as we've been fasting, we're sort of evolving into angels. We're so spiritual. And here we have it towards the end of the holiday that we're talking about, not necessarily only the Jewish experience, but someone communicating Jewish values and the Jewish way as for a non-Jewish world, which is so. This is very important when this time of year comes around to reaffirm our mission that that we're not only as a national as Jewish people to observe our own mitzvot, but to communicate the enduring lessons of the fact that there is one God. And this is, I think, it's even more relevant than it's ever been, and possible simply because in previous generations, the Jews who lived in the Christian countries or the Islamic countries, they had to stay with the subject of faith, because once you get into, you live in a country which is a theocracy outside of the Jewish faith, a person can very easily get themselves into big trouble, which happened in previous generations. But now that we live in the United States, which there is it's an open marketplace of ideas, so it becomes possible, and it's not only possible now, but it's necessary. We live in a time where we have certain luxuries that previous generations didn't have. We have air conditioning, we have refrigeration, we have technology. Yeah, you walk down the street, and how many people look content? There's so much anxiety and stress. So we should be very happy. But the reality is that there's an inside piece, and that's where Yiddishkeit, that's really our niche product, is that we have the neshama piece, we have the God piece, we have the spiritual piece, and we have a responsibility to share that and bring the meaning of the fact that there is a meaning to the universe, that this world isn't just we're not just a bunch of chemicals cast into time, but that there's a meaning, and Hashem has a blueprint vis-a-vis the Torah for everyone. And so when we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, it's not just us coronating Hashem over us personally, but it's over the entire world, and Hashem should bless us that now we have, on a state level, new governor. People are stressed out because what's going to be. It's just people don't like change. On a national level, we have we had this big hurricane and this COVID, and international level we have Afghanistan. There's like so many different layers of stress. Not to mention everyone in their own life has their own pekel, like they say in Yiddish, their own story. So it's especially important now to share this message that there is a Hashem, and all together we'll get past this.